First of all, I can't express to you how much of an honor it is to meet you. I just watched your documentary, I Am Big Bird, which you were both lovely in. It was a very personal film, and I was wondering what that experience was like for you and how much trust you had in the filmmakers.
Well, we had seen the one film they made before, and these three young guys, they're in their early 30s. They really did a beautiful job on that. So we expected it was going to be pretty good, and they assured us anything we didn't like they would change and all that. So when we saw it, we were delighted.
Excellent, excellent. Now, just a couple other questions. Now, you're obviously known for Big Bird and the Oscar. Are there any other characters that you've worked on that you wish had taken off a little more?
Well, I did. Jim asked me to create a new character for the show, and it turned out to be something I didn't get much to say in what it was like because I didn't care for what they did. It was Sam the robot.
Oh, okay.
And didn't seem to wouldn't fit through a doorway, so it didn't make it very practical.
Oh, okay.
You know.
But you did come up with Bruno.
And I did come up with Bruno. That way I could get Oscar out on the stage without having a man walk out with him. But it looked like a Muppet man. Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned Jim. Now, you had a very long and personal and professional relationship with Jim Henson. Was there anything that you took out of that relationship that you still carry with you?
Well, he was so wonderful with visitors and people. I tried to emulate him and be a nice person. I think I try to be nice anyway.
Great. Now, they recently, Sesame Street production moved over to HBO with reruns airing on PBS. Now, a lot of people think it was necessary for the show to continue on, but some people think it might be maybe the sign of the times as far as public broadcast is concerned. I was wondering what your thoughts were.
Well, actually, we were really glad they came along.
Yeah.
Because we needed money for production, and they're going to pay for producing the show for the next 5 years, which that's what we were having a problem with, because we always made our money for selling toys, but there's so much competition now, and there's only a certain amount of money to be made in America from grandparents buying presents for their kids. So I think that it's kind of nice they came along, and we'll be showing another show, which is separate stuff from HBO. So they're not trying to change us editorially, and they're not trying to make it an HBO show, but they've always admired the show and wanted to do this for years. So I think it's great. We're really happy.
How has the half-hour format been for the show? How's that change been?
Well, they think it's pretty good because, for one thing that is important to them is the Nielsen ratings.
Sure.
Didn't used to be important with us because we were the only show in town.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's working out very well because a half-hour show rates just as well as a one-hour show.
Oh, okay.
So we probably get...
They find that kids have a much shorter attention span these days. So much is out there, and laptops and everything, even phones. So they think that a half hour is just going to hold the kids, and after a half hour they want to go do something else anyway. So it's going to work, I think.
I think it's very good. It rates just as well, which is important, but also it'll help production costs.
You had told a story that I'd read online. We willing, if you know what I'm talking about, and it was one of the most touching and sad stories I've ever heard about you speaking with a terminally ill child. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Sure. It was I got a letter from a man who said that his little 5-year-old boy was very ill with cancer, and the boy was quite depressed because he seemed to understand that others came and didn't, and they left with the cover over their head, and so he was a depressed child, and the only thing that he'd light up at all was not even seeing his parents, but just being I always break up when I tell this story. Well, so they asked me in a letter if I would have Big Bird call him. So I did, and the letter had taken 2 weeks to get to me, and they said he doesn't have much more time, so I hope you can talk to him soon. So I I immediately picked up the phone. I was up in the country where I live, and they connected me to the hospital and had to rig up a phone that would reach him. Nobody had cell phones then. And so I said, "Hello, Joey. It's me, Big Bird." He says, "Is it really you, Big Bird?" This weak little voice. And I said, "Yes. And I heard you've been having a hard time, and I thought I'd give you a call and tell you what I've been doing." "What have you been doing, Big Bird?" "Well, me and Snuffy just had a wonderful picnic. We love picnics. He's so funny because he always likes spaghetti on his cabbage. And I wouldn't like that myself." So I had a nice chat with him, and I said, "Well, Joe, I'll let you go. And I had fun talking with you." He says, "Thank you for calling me, Big Bird." And I got a letter the very next week from Joey's dad, and he said as soon as he hung up the phone, his parents were there when the phone call came because they were told they better get in that day. They might not see him again. So they were there, and when he hung up the phone, he said, Big Bird called me. He's my friend." And he smiled, the first smile they'd seen in 5 months. This big smile, and he closed his eyes and left. It's really sad.
That's the kind of impact that you've had on people. How does that? I mean, is that something you can really to grasp?
Yeah, it's awfully good to. Some of that love, I like to try to rub it into my heart. Big Bird is receiving it, but I started it. And so I really think I love to. That's why I like coming to conventions like this, because I meet a lot of fans, and I hear nice things. A lot of it's the same, but they say, "I know you've heard this before." I don't mind hearing it again. It's nice to know people really like what we're doing. And I've been doing it now for 47 years.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Jeff.